Hey Patricia, okay, so here we have your Starseed spread. Now where we're going is here, then what you do with the majority of your time. We're looking at an important day with relationships and feelings involved, and another important day with relationships and feelings with the death and lesson learned over here. We usually get hints of time throughout, but we're doing a timeless kind of thing. When it comes to Starseed readings, we don't pay attention to time for the most part. Now all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are already coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of what comes through here and your current life, and I'll try to help however I can, okay? So just keep in mind you can connect in a couple of ways, direct and opposite. Direct connections is when you directly connect or resonate with what's coming through here. Opposite connection is when you can connect in the way where you experience something that is very different from this because our souls like to expand. So like for example, if someone dies of fire in another life, like they get burned alive, they may come back and be deathly afraid of flames and not know why. That kind of thing. So you might want to grab a notebook and pen for things coming through, and remember it's for you to connect and resonate with, but do not force anything. What you may not connect with, tuck in the back of your mind for a later time, because things tend to connect and like click later on in a days, weeks, months, even year later kind of thing, okay? So just keep that in mind. The thing is with this one is it feels like there's going to be a lot coming through as far as your current like life, as far as like we'll get into it, but it may be more about what's going on now than here. But we'll see, just based on what's coming through. And don't mind my crazy, weird, awful nail polish here. Okay. So, where we're going first, this is the card I use for Starseed readings. It indicates either off-planet or of Earth, but in other realms or different dimensions, that kind of thing. This particular reading feels like the aspect we're looking at for you is off-planet, but it feels like we're looking at off-planet right before coming here, which we do get. It's not often, but it's common enough kind of thing where we look at the life, like the non-human life prior to Earth or becoming human or that kind of thing, like the thing that makes it so they come here. And usually it's there's an objective involved, and that's what it feels like here. So what I want to say though is what's coming through is the colors purple and blue, and I feel like there's something about like what they're showing me is an image of we'll say your soul or your astral body. Basically it's the non-physical form of you, and they're showing me a purple beacon of a light that's at the crown of your head, and then they're showing me a blue beacon of light that is at the heart, and we know it as green usually or pink, you know what I mean, like the heart chakra we'll say, but this is blue, and it feels like the associated blue, which is usually in the throat chakra, it's expressions, right? So it feels like we're looking at something about expressions of the heart and then the mind, and it feels like this aspect we're looking at is a telepathic entity where the people express themselves not through verbalizing and hearing in the ears, but through telepathy. So what that could mean in your current life is that you could have a gift of telepathy, and it's the idea of you being able to hear things in your mind, so to speak, where you might think you're imagining things, or you might blow it off as like, you know, like, oh, that's weird, I don't know what that is. Or it's the kind of, you might know what I'm talking about, you might understand this right away, or you might just need to take time to process and kind of like, I want to say not watch yourself, but like watch yourself, like throughout the day or week, take a week and kind of, don't like listen hard, but just allow yourself to be, and just be aware if you notice anything like this. And it would be you picking up feelings or messages that you feel like a language coming through your heart chakra. So it might not be in your ears, it may be in your mind or your chest area where your heart chakra is, the heart center. It'd be like a knowing, except with this it would feel more distinct than just a knowing. It would be a knowing that it's like a knowing, which is your intuition, but it would, I want to say, translate into like sentences that you feel like would feel like a thought, like a full thought sentence coming through you that you're not thinking. That's what I want to say here, is that that's what this feels like, is this being, wherever they're from, whatever it is, and maybe a name will come through, maybe not, but that's not important. What's important is that you have abilities that come to, when it comes to reading, and the distance doesn't matter, but reading thoughts and expressions and intentions and messages through your energetic body. And this is something where, again, if you even have an inkling of what I'm talking about, you have to trust it. And if you aren't connecting right now, then you need to be open and aware. Should this kickstart into gear after this reading, or should you become aware of it, understanding it feels like it's the kind of thing where it feels natural, and then when you put a name on it, like a label, like telepathy, then you're like, aha, oh, that's what this is. That kind of thing. So if you're not connecting right now, just be open and be aware. Don't go seeking it out. It's the kind of thing that just rises within you. And I feel like you're going to be able to identify what I'm talking about after this kind of reading if you're not connecting already. And your job is going to be to trust the information coming through you and trust it. So, for example, like what it feels like is the kind of thing, like let's say you're close with a sibling or a close friend, and you feel like you're getting a message like from them, like you just feel like maybe their voice pops into your being, in your mind, in your whatever it is, or you think of them and it's like a message of a thought coming through kind of thing, and you might like knock it off as like, oh, it's just my imagination. You can, one, ask them about their day and see if it matches up, but two, if nothing matches up, or if they say, I don't know what you're talking about, don't let that deter you from trusting that the message you got is a truth. It doesn't mean you're supposed to be doing anything about it, but just allow it to be. And I feel like it's going to reveal itself how you can utilize this, if not only just for the fact that you are connected incredibly and intuitively with your inner being. So just process, take with a grain of salt, just food for thought kind of thing, but that's what's coming through. And it could be also, if you are drawn to purples and blues, there's something about this being where the purple and the blue is activated, something very activated. This can also mean that in the case that you don't meditate, or maybe you do meditate, it doesn't matter. You might want to try sitting, quieting your mind, and focusing on your crown, like the top of your head, and your heart center area, and imagine those areas lighting up where the top is purple and the heart is blue. And see how that feels, and see if you have any kind of experience of any kind without pushing for it. So again, you don't want to make something happen, you want to allow things to happen. And it could be that this is also coming up in the case that you in your current life are someone who likes to make things happen. If you're a go-getter, if you're like take care of this and check this off the list, and you like to get things done, this could be a message for you to try to allow things to happen a bit more, like allowing like an organic happening of things to, it's almost like I want to say, it's like a feeling of like wanting to say like slow down and observe, and don't feel like you have to be involved. It's like, this is just what it feels like. It's like you don't have to be involved in everything, or you don't have to be the person that's moving things along. If you're used to that, try to like allow things to happen, even if you feel like it's not getting done at a pace that's good for you. So this could be speaking simply to you potentially being, or knowing that you might be I don't like to say it like this, but like I guess dealing with impatience. So if you're someone that just likes to get things done efficiently like this, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the idea of like taking a step back and just allowing yourself some space and time for you. So I don't know if you're always around people, or if you're always trying to get things done, or you have to get things done and you don't take enough you time. this would be a message for you to just step back, take like one day a week where you get your own personal, like, what's it called? Like a silent retreat. You know how people go off to silent retreats? Well, obviously, you know, like that takes money and time, and some people don't have that. So, and if you do, you know, mazel tov, go do it. But if you don't, like, just take a day out of the week, at least for you, if you can, just even like a couple hours where you're not getting things done. Understanding that when you take time for yourself in silence, or like take a breath, or like take some space where it looks like you're not getting things done on the outside, that is getting a lot done on the inside. So it's almost like there's other ways of getting things done that you might not be aware of that would be very beneficial to you, your growth, your peace of mind, that kind of thing. So this may be coming up in the case that your life may feel either chaotic, very busy, or you're not alone a lot. And if that's the case, this would be a message. If you connect with that, this would be a message that you need to take you time away, like break away, almost like I want to say find you without all the noise. Okay, that's what this is feeling like. And again, if you don't connect now, just tuck in the back of your mind for later time. So the thing is they're still not showing me. Okay, hold on. So the aspect we're looking at is still a energetic being. And this comes through often, like it could be someone that's just a thought form, it could be an object, it could be a humanoid kind of thing, or a complete alien kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like these starseed readings, there's really no like one way we're going to be getting an entity coming through because of the nature of it. Because we are just looking basically at anything non-human here. And this right now is still presenting itself as like a energy body. So this can also mean that if you've had any experiences with astral projection, out-of-body experience, or I want to say if you are someone that you find yourself aware of presence a lot, and by that I mean if you feel like there are energies around you or a presence around you at certain times in your life, if you've ever had that, it's very likely it's these people checking in on you. And I say these people like your people. I want to say we can just call it star family. It feels like they check in on you and you would know them by feeling presence around you and no one's there. It can even happen when you're with people and you feel an extra presence and there's no one there. You know what I mean? And this actually comes through a lot with people when they are sensing like paranormal activity, kind of like ghosts or ancestors or things like that. And I'm not saying those are not, that's not it for you, you know, if you're connected with your ancestors, things like that. But it feels like they check in on you. And I'm trying to see, this is what I meant when it's more about like your life here, because it feels like there's something about what you're doing here, like on Earth as a human, that is almost like more focused than here, because this aspect we're looking at does not feel fully like a physical form. And I'm trying to see where we are, but it's almost like because of the lack of fully physical forms, the place we're in feels semi-physical as well. Almost like if you were to imagine a planet that is half, it's like where the planet is mostly just energy, but with like structures that you can make out, but it's almost like looking at outlines of structures, where if like we were to take our human body and go there, it's almost like we would be able to like pass through the structures because of how what's it called, how dense we are. This place here is not dense at all. So this can actually be too, as in your current life, if you feel like stuck in your skin, stuck in your body, if this kind of thing we've come across with weight issues as well. So if you've ever dealt with like weight issues, it's because of the physical body here and how vastly different it feels to this very, very light energy body we're looking at here. But then Also, because it also feels like something linked to that heart center. If you ever have like, and I'm not a medical doctor at all, so disclaimer, but if your heart ever feels heavy and does like a thing where, I want to say it's almost like they're giving me a feeling of the heart doing like a double quick beat. Like if your heart ever does like a quick beat, like where it feels like a quick panic beat. And again, go seek medical attention if you need it. This is not medical stuff. But if it ever does that, it feels like there's a connection here because of how light and like how light the energy centers of this being, this aspect of you is. There would be a weird discrepancy where your physical body, it would feel like it would go like almost like a panic mode. So if you get panic attacks or have anxiety in a physical way that affects your physicality, I feel like there's something here because of it, because we're looking at a very light energy body here and then transferring to a dense human body. So however you might connect with that, and if you don't connect, that's totally fine, but that's just what's coming through kind of thing. So I want to go what you do with the majority of your time here, so to speak. So this is a wanderer card, and this is indicating that this aspect, the mobility of it, was but a thought. So it moves, what it feels like, what we would see it as would be like a gliding, floating, flying thought form of an energy moving around. So this is an energy and an energy form. And it feels like, again, weightless, light as air. So it's almost like I want to say, if you could pick a superpower, you know, if someone were to ask you, hey, if you had a superpower, what would it be? If you ever answered with flying or being invisible or walking through walls, that kind of thing, that's what we're looking at here. This is a lighter than air feeling. So again, being on Earth, it could be very dense feeling. In fact, also a feeling coming through would be if you get headaches. Something about headaches, like and it would be the throbby kind. So not sharp, but throbby. And again, the weight of it all, like the weight. And it feels like the idea of if you do ever have weight issues, and this could even be opposite where, like an eating disorder that you want to get rid of weight, because you want to feel lighter, but not in the sense of comparing yourself to like, you know, the media and society, but just because you feel like I should feel lighter, like this feels wrong, that kind of thing, like the weight of the body. But then also there's the idea of putting on weight where your job is to be a human, so you need to anchor yourself here and not go up. You know what I mean? It's not time to go back to this yet. You're here for a purpose, right? So I feel like if you connect with that at all, by the way, I feel like if you start to do a grounding practice for yourself, if you have any weight issues, those are going to go away very quickly. If you daily do a grounding exercise, like imagining yourself connecting with the earth, with Mama Earth, with the energy of Earth, and grounding yourself, see what happens, but that's only if you connect with that, okay? So just, that's what I feel like is coming through, because it feels like you're here for a reason. So the more you focus on any discomfort of being in the human body, the less you're focusing on part of the reason why you're here, or the reasons why you're here, which, I mean, there's many reasons, many purposes, all that stuff, but for now, that's what this is feeling like. So you want to ground so you can get your mind off of any body issues, I just want to say, and bring it to where it should be focused. And I feel like I want to say, for here, at least now, something about focusing on the mind. And this is because it feels like the soul aspect is already whole and good and like good to go. Like it feels like, almost like I want to say, you know how people are like, oh, the journey of the soul and finding yourself and finding the soul. It's like, no, you're already complete. You already have, you just need to tap into it. It's already there. Rather, this is about, there's something about utilizing your mind. Almost like it feels like, I want to say, it feels like you are intellectual. Like it feels like, and it may be even like the kind of thing where you're not giving yourself credit for your intellect. I want to say, if you have come across people in your life that have put you down as far as calling you stupid or dumb or not smart or anything where it has to do with your mind, your intellect, your academic, even like if you got bad grades in school, like that kind of thing, that is not indicative of your intellect. Not at all like this, in this way. This is like, I actually want to say if you did not do well in school, that is because you are tuned to a, I want to say a higher intellect where the schooling here is not up to par with the mind of this aspect, which is a higher dimensional mind, if that makes sense. And we've seen this before where people are like getting their PhDs in science and they're struggling with it, even though they know they're meant to do this science, that type of science, but it's because we found out, and this is through like hypnotherapy, past life regression, other things, not just readings, where it's because the form they came from before, the planet, the form, whatever it was, they were so much more advanced with their science that Earth science is like baby stuff and wrong compared to the higher advanced science. So it's like that kind of thing. So if you've ever, and this can also mean, because it feels intellectual, it can mean that you're like acing everything and it's easy peasy for you your whole life. But if you have struggled like through school and people have, given you crap about it for some reason, that it feels like, because here it feels like it's basic compared to your, here, this original soul mind thing over here is advanced. So it's almost like you're beyond the human thing, like the earth thing. Like this is basic stuff and you're a step above. So it's hard because everyone's comparing to the status quo of Earth. And sometimes when you connect with this kind of stuff, it kind of gives you insight as to why you feel like you may never have connected in that way growing up. Hopefully this is making sense. I hope this is making sense. But it feels like there's something about your mind that where the focus should be not, how do I put it? It's kind of interesting because it's hard to articulate. I want to say the mind is supposed to be used for observation and that you have very keen observation skills, and that is not nothing, and that is not a gift. Does that make sense? So it's like, I want to say that you have gifts and abilities that you might not be aware of because to you it doesn't seem like anything special, or it just seems like, oh yeah, I'm good at watching people, or I'm good at determining, like it's almost like the idea of if you were to people watch and you look across the street and you see two people talking, and then you get something in your mind where it's a scenario about what they're talking about or their relationship to each other or a story that comes to mind about them, and you think you're imagining it but you're not. That's what I'm talking about, where it's like that's truth, like where you get we were talking about before, getting messages through you. That's the kind of thing. It feels like you have something where you can pick up on people, what's going on, but you might tell yourself, your ego will step in and be like, oh, you're just imagining that. That's not really it. You're just playing with your mind. It's your imagination. So that's where I want to come in and say, if you connect with that, trust those instincts. It doesn't mean you have to do anything about it except to trust it, because the more you trust in the information you feel is coming through you, that's the more you're trusting your intuition, and that's you giving more weight to your gifts and abilities, and that's going to help you evolve those gifts and abilities in the case that you have been interested in doing so as well. So if you are going through a phase now, or maybe you've been going through where you're getting into the idea of like working with energy or working with a certain, I guess you can say, like metaphysical concepts, this is how you begin. And maybe you've already begun, I'm sure you have, but you begin by trusting your the intuitive information that's coming through you. However odd or random it might be or when it might come up. Especially those times when you're like falling asleep or just waking up and you get ideas or you get answers or you get insights and you think, oh, I'm just sleeping. It's like, no, pay attention to those and actually start to write them down if you can. So, I mean, and again, this is only if you're connecting, but we're looking at a very intuitive person here because the being we're looking at is barely physical. So there's not a lot of density here. Okay? So essentially, when there's not a lot of density, there is a closer connection to source as well. Source, creator, source, God, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's that energy. So you're already very connected. It's just in your dense human body, you may feel oftentimes disconnected. But that is just an illusion that you get with being in the human body. Okay, and then now what's coming up is like I almost want to say, go check out, there is a book called Conversations with God by Neil Diamond Walsh. And I read this years and years and years ago, so that's why they're bringing it up. It might be very helpful. It's all about the illusions of Earth, illusions of being human kind of thing. You might want to just check it out and just see what, you know, I'm sure you can find it at a used bookstore too or whatever, but it is worth reading. I usually do not refer books to people in these readings, but this is coming through, so I don't like to stop things from coming through, so I'm just, there you go, and it's your choice. You don't have to get it, you know, you don't have to read it, but it's just coming through. Because we're talking about illusions, and I feel like that one of your biggest obstacles in life might be you not realizing that certain illusions are illusions, and once you do, it'll take away any limitations you feel in your life. Like, for example, fear is an illusion, but that's just one example. It's kind of incredible, and like once you're able again to dispel the illusion, you also get to see where you have been limiting yourself or not giving yourself permission to do something or move down a path or go, you know, do this or that, whatever it is. So you want to be aware of that, I feel, because this aspect here, it's almost like I want to say there were no illusions in this aspect because any illusion has density, and this aspect was so light that it would just move through the illusion. Where now as a human, you come up to a brick wall of the illusion. Because, you know what I mean? It meets your density now. So I feel like maybe what we're getting at here overall is this idea of you breaking through illusions that are holding you back, that feel natural and that are programmed into you, but time to move past them. It's almost like also the idea, they're showing me like a wall, like a big wall, very tall wall, where everyone comes across it. How am I going to get over the wall? How am I going to get over the wall? Well, just walk around it. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of thing. So just, again, connect however you can. If not, that's totally fine. This card can also mean that you enjoy traveling. If you like moving around, if you actually like flying, like, you know, planes, obviously, I don't know, or skydiving, I don't know. But like, this could indicate a direct connection, would be like movement, mobility, ease of movement. An opposite connection would be if you came into this life and you like to stay put, you like your community, you like to stay rooted down because being human, you want to experience what it's like to, I want to say, to have lack of mobility, because here it was very mobile. Almost like a single thought can move you across the planet, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind, keep making connections, and we're going to go to the first important day. So here we have the birth card. The relationship card is child, and this is positive and negative. So I'm seeing what's going on here. Okay, so, I honestly, like, when I said it might pertain more to your life here, this is what I'm feeling too, is like, I don't know how you feel about having children, but it might not be according to, I want to say, what's expected of you or what you've been raised or taught or seen as growing up. How you might feel about having a family or having children or having children even like, you know, until you're ready, or, I mean, even if you have kids, it's about how you feel about it. There's something about, it's also about, again, like the body, the physicality, the density, it's so different because it feels like when it comes to reproduction in this form that you have here, the aspect here, it feels like these beings are formed through intentional thought, and then it's like, let's say there's, just bear with me, it might not be like obviously like 100% what they do, but this is the closest this is what I'm getting. You take one aspect here, like one being from this place, and then another being, and you come together with your energy, and you put your intention and energy together, and the intention is to create another form, and then the form is created. And then the form needs mild guidance as it grows, and that's the job of the parent energies, is to nurture the infant energy as it grows. But the guidance is mild. It's unlike anything we do here, even though I think the only thing that is the same is that it takes two different energies. Actually, what's coming through is it takes an energy form that has what we would consider a negative, they're polar. So it's not negative bad. This is kind of weirdly scientific and probably just beyond what I understand here, but it feels like there's polar opposites of energies in this place where your aspect is from. So all the energies are, we'll say, positive and negative. It's the same as saying black and white. It's just that. It's not negative bad and positive good. It's, it's like that kind of, it's like electrical stuff. So it takes a negative and a positive energy in order to form a new energy or birth a new energy in this place. And that's what's coming through here, is how it's done. So that's the only distinction, or that's the only similar thing, is that it takes two. Just like here on Earth, it takes two people to, so to speak, in the natural way at least. And here it takes two energies. But the energies in particular have to be polarized, I guess is the word, where it's opposite in that way. And it's kind of like, I guess, how it is, like, where it's like man and woman traditionally come together to create a child, right? So that's what this is like, but it's not even gender here. This is genderless. So in your current life, if you are intrigued when you hear or read about gender fluidity, like people who, like if you see people who have that look, where you can't tell if it's a male or feminine, a female or male, and that highly intrigues you, or you're ever drawn to that, or even the concept of gender fluidity, if that's intriguing to you, that's a connection here, because this is not about genders coming together. Again, this is about energies, the polar energies coming together to form a new energy, which means that this can also mean, like, in the case that, I guess we could just say, like, if you're when it comes to like sexual identity or fluidity with that, however you might connect with that, because it's not about gender here, it's just about the energy. So you might be someone that loves people romantically or not, based on, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female, it's about the energy. And that too, like, you might be someone that's very sensitive about someone's energy, if that makes sense. So just, connect however you can, and if you can't right now, it's fine, just tuck in the back of your mind for a later time. But that's what's coming through, is the formulation of a child in this aspect. And so I don't know also if that concept is coming up in your life about, are you, like, if you're considering having children, or if you're just dead set against it, or if you have a child, like just the concept of this and how it's playing out in your human life, in this life. The idea of creating a child. And it's almost like, I want to say, if it's the kind of thing where you're like, I don't want kids, but then you meet someone that has the polar energy from you, where all of a sudden it clicks, and then it makes sense to form to form a child. Does that make sense? I'm not saying if you don't want kids to have kids. I'm so not saying that. I guess what I'm saying is to be aware of people's energies and how it affects you, because it feels like you might be highly affected by other people's energies, and if you're not aware of that yet, it would be wise of you to be open and aware of the possibility, when you find yourself with people, how you feel. In the case, like, let's say you go around people and let's say you're having a good day, and then you get around people and all of a sudden your mood turns sour and you don't know why. even on the outside, like if people are joking around, they seem happy, you might all of a sudden become sour because they might be masking having a horrific day behind a smile, and your energy is picking up on that. And then it turns your own energy or mood sour, and you don't know why. If that kind of thing ever happens to you, that means that you are very susceptible to energy, which is what this feels like. And your job again is to ground and also do some shielding techniques. We'll put a mirror, like visualize a mirror around you where energy bounces off the mirror. It doesn't come and permeate your being, because it feels like you would be susceptible to that. So just be aware of that. It's not like it's not awful or terrible. It's just that if you would like a more peace of mind or a more status quo or a more balanced feel throughout the day, in the case that you don't have that, or you're finding yourself feeling off balance or whatever it might be, try that. Try imagining a mirror, yourself in a globe, like in a globe that is a mirror globe, and any energy around you bounces off of you. It's a mirror, it reflects back, it doesn't get to you. Like that kind of thing. And then you have to trust the process of that. Or it could also be, if you find yourself around these people a lot where you feel affected by them, it may be time for you to put boundaries up and stop being around certain people so you can maintain your status quo and your peace of mind. So that you can, like, I want to say, there's something about like inner development, essentially. Because when you're picking up all this other stuff, that's a lot of energy being spent trying to either repel it or calm it down or figure it out, or you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So just consider it, again, food for thought. I know some of this stuff is pretty abstract and kind of weird, and you know, take it with a grain of salt. But this is just what's coming through, okay? So bear with me. But make connections here wherever you can, and we're gonna go ahead to the next important day. So here we have the Wowzer card, and then here we have the Friends card, and the feeling is disappointment. So again, I want to start with the human part, where it feels like kind of like a runoff of what we're talking about. If you are finding yourself in a place now where you need to say goodbye to people you have known for a very long time because you're finding that they may be toxic to you, doesn't mean they're bad people, but it just may mean that when you're around certain people, you've noticed a difference lately where you feel like maybe exhausted after you see them, drained, or again picking up their energy, which might feel frustrated or angry or something that is not anything but peaceful and calm and compassionate, or you know what I mean, that kind of thing. It just feels like we are looking at a time right now where you need to find a peace within you. And it feels like if there's anyone around you, and if anyone's coming to mind right now that makes you feel that way, trust that that is the person or people we're talking about. And if you have been thinking about letting some people go or taking some space from people, and space is just like, it could be a week, it could be a year, it could be 10 years, you know, like nothing is ever permanent or definite, you never know, but at least for now, if you feel you need to take space from some people, please do that. This is what's coming up. So the Wowzer card, what it feels like is there is a day here, and it feels like we're coming to the end of this, I want to say like life cycle, because it doesn't feel like they die, because it's energy. Energy doesn't die, it transfers. So it feels like we're coming to the end of a cycle where you are getting ready to transfer your energy form. It's almost like time to go, maybe go be human, go on to the next energy form, whatever it may be. And on this day, it feels like you're actually getting like a precursor glimpse into what it will, like almost like a snapshot of a feeling, an energy feeling of what it's like to be anything but this kind of peaceful, neutral energy. Just a glimpse, a snapshot of emotion, so to speak, or energy, like that's that kind of thing. Like disappointment. I feel like disappointment is such a human thing, and it's also an illusion, and it's also something that we prescribe to ourselves. We don't ever have to feel disappointed. You know, that's a program. It's really, you take a step back and look at the thing that's making you disappointed, And it's because there are perhaps expectations that were not met, right? Whereas if you never put expectations there, you would still be in peace of mind because the expectations would not have been, foibled or not met. Like, it's that kind of thing. So it feels like we're getting a glimpse or a taste of what you're in for here, and it's meant to be a bit sharp. So it feels like we're looking at a day that feels like a sting. It's almost like a bee sting. Because I feel like it's the first time you're feeling something besides the status quo feeling that you feel here. And I feel like it's very intriguing. So it's really funny because this kind of feeling to me, if you were a human and you felt this, and it was like, hey, you want to get a glimpse of what you're in for? Here, feel this. Bzz, and you get buzzed with the sting. As a human, we'd be like, oh, hell no, I don't want that. But here, because there are no preconceived ideas of good or bad, it's all status quo and calm here, you're like, huh, that's interesting. And I feel like that's coming up for, again, the illusion thing, where you have to realize where you might be so programmed a certain way that you see almost with a tunnel vision certain things where you immediately dismiss opportunities that may be very good for you because you feel like it may be too overwhelming, or you might not be able to handle it, or it may be very scary, or it feels like it's too unknown for you to move in that direction. Basically, what this feels like is, I want to say, look and see where it is that you limit yourself or hold yourself back because you think it will be a certain way, but you really honestly have no idea. You're just projecting a thought of what could be, and the could be thought may be skewed in a way that scares you to retreat or scares you to limit that as an option at all. I hope this is making sense, because it feels like what's coming to mind is the idea of when a football team runs out together and they break through a banner to run onto the field. It's almost like I want to say, you look in a direction of a path and you see a banner and you think that banner is so thick, I'm not going to run through it, I'm going to bounce right back off of it, and then people will laugh at me, or I will feel stupid, or I'll get hurt when I bounce back, right? But really, what you don't see is you don't allow yourself to get close enough to the banner, or you won't even try running through the banner to see that the banner is a hologram. It's not even real material. It's just a hologram that looks like material. And all along, you've been unwilling to go through basically light and air just because it looks like a thick banner. Does this make sense? I hope this is making sense. That's the analogy they're giving me, because I feel like there is somewhere where you are feeling stuck, and if not now, then tuck in the back of your mind for a later time to use, but it feels like you need to look at where you are allowing the thoughts in your mind to hold you back from moving forward. And I feel like this is not just one time. I feel like there's something where you might have had your mind on it even for like a year or more, where you've been like intrigued and pulled in a certain direction, but feel stuck from going past a certain like thought layer, because you're like, oh, there's, again, the banner thing. But it's the illusion. It's an illusion. I think you should read that book. If you have time, if you're so inclined, go ahead and look up that book, The Conversations with God. Just the first book. Or I think it's Conversations with God or Communications with God. It's the one where it's about illusions. Look it up. I think it'll be very helpful, because it feels like there's somewhere you can be moving easily, but it's like you have a belief that there is a blockade that's not really there. And it could just be a blockade of you not believing in yourself, like that kind of thing. And honestly, the more I'm talking, it feels like I keep getting drawn to this mobile card. So if you were actually thinking of like moving geographically, that might be part of it, whether it's for a job or just the idea of like hitting the road or something. It doesn't have to be forever. Just like even like maybe I'm just seeing like the idea of you getting away and taking space just for a day or a week or something, but there's something about movement I feel is part of this. So again, just connect how you can, and if not, tuck it in the back of your mind for a later time, okay? But the disappointment card, again, the last thing I want to say about this is the disappointment card is not about you being disappointed. It's about the feeling of disappointment being an illusion and being put in a place where it's not even about the disappointment. It's about the idea that you can create disappointment from nothing. Like, that's how powerful you are, is you can bring up and draw up emotions from nothing, just with your thoughts alone. You have to understand how powerful your thoughts are. If they are that powerful that they can manifest emotions, that means they can manifest emotions strong enough to hold you back from achieving your dreams or for going forward and moving towards something that you want. So be aware of how powerful your mind is, because when you I want to say, like, that's why people meditate, is so they can understand how to utilize their thoughts and how to discipline their thoughts, because you can use it to your advantage rather than allowing your thoughts and emotions to use you. That's where I want to end with this, and I want you to keep making connections with that, okay? And I'm not saying you're not aware of it. There just might be some things that you haven't become aware of, right? So I feel like you're very, very capable of easily maneuvering this once you are aware of what you are seeing as an illusion, okay? So yeah, keep making connections. I want to say, is there anything more with this? Okay, last thing is the illusion of the, okay, so we started talking about someone, friends. There might be one or more people, friends, that if anyone came to mind, that's them that we were talking about before. Don't get fooled by people's masks that they wear. Don't get fooled by people putting up an intentional illusion for others to think that they, let's say, they mean well, or they say I'm not saying you have like an enemy out there. I'm just saying, like, just be aware that you need to be your best friend, and everyone has a mask. Everyone has an ego, and even people that love you can also be jealous of you. Even people that love you can also want to see you not evolve and not change and not meet your potential, just because it's scary to them to see someone that they've always known a certain way change into something else. So they might say or act in such a way that would make you want to stay the same, when really you're ready to grow and move forward in life in general. You know what I mean? Even if it's just changing your hair color, even if it's just getting contacts, even if it's just like, if you start like a journey of eating healthier, maybe going, vegetarian or something. I'm not saying to do those things. I'm saying those are to other people, to our friends, to people around us who are not anchored in their own self, like sense of self. To make little changes like that can scare people, because they see you evolving emotionally or physically in whatever way, mentally, whatever. They see you evolving, and even if they love you, it can still scare them enough where they may want to put up illusions for you in order to keep up, or to stay the same and not change. You see what I mean? So again, like I say, like, toxic people are not always bad people, and toxic people can really love you, but they just may not be the best people to have around you when you're ready to evolve and grow. That kind of thing. So anyway, food for thought. Keep making connections. We're going to the death card here. The death card here is the water card. This literally just feels like we are looking at a transference of energy through intention when you decide to cycle out of this energy form. It feels like turning air into a denser molecule, which is water, and I feel like that's how it started. Was you were air, and this is the best way I can describe it, because I feel like it would be otherwise very like advanced language for me to use that I don't have right now, but what's it called, quantum physics wise, it just feels like this energy form is air. This is the best way I can put it. Air. And you decide, okay, I am going to set the intention to transfer out of this energy form so I can manipulate myself into another form to move and grow and evolve and learn in another way as another form. So the next dense step from air is to collect together and become dense into water. And from water, you went wherever, but it feels like that was the next step, was for you to solidify yourself in the next step, and that became water. So I don't know if you have a connection with water. Like, you might be someone that lives by the water, wants to live by the water. You might need to go and move to be by an ocean or a body of water, so you can you might do your best grounding by water, believe it or not. So whenever an element like this comes through in one of these readings, it's usually for a reason, and it's usually to get that person to connect with the element. So it's not always water. Sometimes it is fire. Sometimes it's like go to a forest, go to the soil, go to a tree, go to the trees or whatever. I know it sounds weird, but natural elements. This is water, so it's coming through where you might do well in your evolutionary process if you are by the energy or utilize the frequency of water in some way. And that can even be, for some people, it's taking a bath every day, like sitting in a bath, like relaxing, soothing, meditative kind of thing. And if that's not your gig, that's totally fine. But that's what's coming through here is that kind of thing. This can just mean that you love rain, if you love rain. But yeah, so make connections where you can here. And we're going to go to the lesson card. Now, this is the lesson card. It's the brain card. It's the logic card. Basically, it's the mind card. And I feel like this card is coming up because this life, this aspect of you here is not about thinking. It's not about doing. It's not about strategizing. It's not about everything being a human using the mind, so to speak. Sorry for the background noise, just ignore it. But this card is, more than anything, it feels like it's a lesson for what you here are about to get into in the further incarnations. Once you go through the air to water phase kind of thing, whatever's coming next, human, we'll say. The mind card is a lesson for you to move through, which is everything we've been talking about. It's about being aware, becoming grounded. It's about, and when I say becoming grounded, it's because you're aware that you need it. So really, this card is representing in your current life, you becoming of higher awareness and more of a witness to the functionings of your mind in such a way that it allows you to master them, rather than allowing them to step all over you, such as with the illusions. The illusions are there because you haven't mastered the mind. And I'm not saying you haven't tried or you're not on your way at all. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the more awareness you put into your day-to-day kind of thing, where you're paying attention to your thought process, to your emotion process, to the internal messages your intuition is sending you, of feeling the energies around you, that kind of thing. That's you anchoring yourself in self-awareness intentionally. And you, every day, the more you do that, the more you build your mastery in that. And that's how you break down the illusions. And that's how you get back to yourself, to centering yourself, to your soul space. You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. And just keep making connections with this. It's almost like I want to say it's about getting out of the mind by being aware of the mind and the illusions that the mind creates. Okay? And this can also mean that you're just someone that might read into things or overanalyze things, when really you could step away and observe and not get, I want to say, get frustrated, angry, or attached to those things that you find you may be reading into or overanalyzing, if that makes sense at all. So that's just a little thing, but again, only if you connect. But keep making connections where you can. And yeah, so there's your Starseed reading. A little bit unusual, very interesting. Hopefully you can make some connections, and thanks for letting me read you.